Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we are taking another look at our platinum machine. I have had a number of people come to me and say that they're having problems with the platinum in that their clear plates, the cutting plates, are severely bowing and they haven't had the machine for very long and they didn't really understand why. So I had discussed this briefly in videos that I've done with projects, but I was asked to do a separate video so that it could be sort of referred back to much more easily, just going through exactly what the issue is, and it's a very simple one to solve. Now you can imagine that I'm using these a lot. I mean, look at how much cutting they've got on them, and I've got the smaller ones as well, and they're not bowed at all, as you can see. So if we go back to basics, the reason that your plates would bow in any machine is because the pressure from the rollers inside here is so tight that the only thing that can give is the plate, and it just bends because it's got nothing else to do. A lot of the times that with this machine specifically that this is happening is when you're using any other die, thin die other than Spellbinders. Now these dies must be slightly thicker, and that's what's causing the sandwich on the whole to be slightly thicker. So in order to stop the bowing and to stop the pressure, which is the cause of the bowing, what you want to do is change the position of your die, because when you put your die through so that it is going head on to the rollers, you're creating the rollers having to go straight over like a big hump, like one of those sleeping policemen in the road where you have to go over the bump, and it's a real big bump, and you go dunk dunk as you go over in your car. But if when you see those and you're driving along and it's a quiet road and you can sometimes go at a slight angle, don't you? And it kind of just does the first wheel and you kind of go dong. And it's not quite so bump bump like that. It's much more smoother, and that's because you're taking it at the angle. So the first wheel goes over slightly, and then the next one, and the next one, the next one. So it's going over in 4 sections rather than doink doink. And so it's a much more gentle thing. And it's the same with this. If you force it to go over that big bump at the beginning, it's really tight, there's a lot of pressure, and it has to work really, really hard. And therefore the pressure means that your plates, as they go through, they do this because there's no other option for them. The pressure is so much that something has to give, and it won't be the machine. It could also be your dies. They could start to bend as well. But the plates are the thing that tend to go, and then they sort of stay in that position. So to stop that, you want to do the same thing as you do when you drive over those bumps in the car, if you can. You're going to go over at an angle. Now obviously you can't put your dies through like that, your plates through like that, but you can put the plates like this and the dies like this. So then when it hits those rollers, it's hitting a point, and it's gradually building up across that plate, across that die, till it goes through at a much more gentle pressure. Now I'm going to actually show you this rather than discuss it but I thought that it would be easier just to explain it first, but I think it also obviously helps to see it. So I'm going to start with my plate, then we've got my clear plate. I'm just going to get some card actually, pop that on. Now one of the hardest dies to get through is actually something like a rectangle or a square, because obviously that's like the biggest bump, because it's got that big straight edge. So this is a Sue Wilson die, so it's not a Spellbinders die, and that's a dog hair, and that's from Daisy. Okay, so this is what I was saying. If I try to go through like this, so let's pop this right up here, and I'm going to just show you how tough it is when we go through head on. So popping that through. Now I may not get this through even. In fact, look, can you fit? I can't. I literally cannot do that. It won't. I'm frightened I'm going to break the handle. Okay, so I mean, you probably could force it, but you may break the machine, and you definitely would bow that. So you could see that really was tough. So now what we're going to do is, this is a fairly big one, but you don't have to, you could use it even bigger, because you don't have to twist this very much. Obviously the more you do it, the better, but it doesn't have to be a lot. So we're just going to twist that like so, and then we're going to put our top cutting plate on, and then we're going to start winding through. Obviously the machine is moving because it's on a mat, but so it was a little bit tight, but it wasn't anything massively problematic. And the thing is that it then cuts perfectly, so you get that beautiful piercing, all cut, the embossing part sort of almost done there on the edge, and it just cuts through, and you can see that that went through, because now look, my plate isn't bent or anything, it's all just good. So that is really the key, is to angle that die. That will make all the difference. So I know that that's sort of the two issues really that were raised, were that it was very tough for some of the dies to go through, and that there was bowing on those plates. I hope you can see that actually it is two problems but with one solution. That one solution solves both things, because it is actually the same thing causing those problems. The toughness of it going through and the bowing of the plate is caused by that being too much pressure, and therefore by releasing that pressure, by just turning the die slightly, you're solving both of those problems. I know that some of you had gone back to using your grand caliber plates with this machine. I understand works fine. I've seen Sue Wilson herself do that. The problem I had with that personally was that that effectively made this machine a grand caliber, because it went back to not cutting 100%, etc. Because the grand caliber plates, the reason they work is because they're slightly thinner, so you haven't got the pressure, which is great in that it doesn't bow, but it also doesn't cut, because there's still not even enough pressure for it to really cut through. So you do want to really, if you can, use your Spellbinder platinum plates, but if you just twist it like this, that will solve that problems that we discussed. So hopefully that's helped, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.